CNN's Jim Acosta joins us now from the White House with more. So let's talk about this press briefing. It was an unscheduled briefing today. Explain what the new White House press secretary focused on.
Yeah, certainly not business as usual. That's correct, Anderson. And it was interesting because Sean Spicer came into the room, delivered a statement, and left. And that is very unusual for a White House press secretary. A president can come into the briefing room and give a statement and leave, but typically the press secretary takes questions. That didn't happen today. But just to back up a little bit, what Sean Spicer did in the briefing room was basically echo what his boss, the president, said over at the CIA, that he's outraged over this coverage of crowd estimates and crowd sizes at the inauguration yesterday. Here's what Sean Spicer said to reporters earlier today.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe. Even the New York Times printed a photograph showing that a misrepresentation of the crowd in the original tweet in their paper, which showed the full extent of the support, depth, and crowd and intensity that existed. These attempts to lessen the enthusiasm of the inauguration are shameful and wrong. The president is committed to unifying our country, and that was the focus of his inaugural address. This kind of dishonesty in the media, the challenging that bringing about our nation together, is making it more difficult. There's been a lot of talk in the media about the responsibility to hold Donald Trump accountable. And I'm here to tell you that it goes two ways. We're going to hold the press accountable as well. The American people deserve better, and as long as he serves as the messenger for this incredible movement, he will take his message directly to the American people, where his focus will always be.
And what's incredible about that statement, Anderson, is that while Sean Spicer is accusing all of us of being spreading falsehoods and misrepresenting what occurred yesterday, he laid out a series of facts that just didn't add up.
That were not true. I mean, he talked about the crowds. He also mentioned the floor covering. I mean, again, I just got to say, it is surreal that we are discussing this on day one of the Trump administration, but we are discussing it because this is what Donald Trump has focused on today.
That's right.
First at the CIA and then at this press conference. So again, they're presenting stuff which is not true. So we're just now we just have to counter it. They talked about floor coverings never being used before out on the mall that were white, and therefore made it look like there were fewer people.
Right.
That is not the case. Those floor coverings have been used to protect the grass in the past.
Not true. And it really didn't take much more than a Google search, Anderson, to ferret this out. Take a look at some of these pictures that we unearthed from 4 years ago at President Obama's second inaugural. You see crews laying out these white ground coverings on the National Mall to protect the grass. So when Sean Spicer says that these had never been used before, you know, a Google search would tell you that that is not the case. He also talked about metro ridership numbers, and we can put that graphic up on screen. He was trying to say that, well, the metro ridership numbers were better for President Trump than it was at the second Obama inaugural. That's just not the case. There you have metro ridership from, basically 4 a.m. to midnight, 570,000 yesterday versus 782,000 4 years ago and 1.1 million back in 2009. Anderson even went as far as to say, well, magnetometers were used around the National Mall, and that slowed people from entering the mall and seeing this inauguration. We call the U.S. Secret Service. The U.S. Secret Service is usually not in the business of contradicting the President of the United States or the White House. They told us no magnetometers were used around the mall during this inauguration. So again, another fact that was, or another line from Sean Spicer that was easily fact-checked, Anderson.
Right. And again, incredible that we were discussing magnetometers around the mall from yesterday or floor coverings. But again, this is what the President of the United States apparently is very concerned about today. Jim Acosta,
this
thanks
is what
the
they chose to talk about.
King,
That's right.
Powers. Yeah, it's what they chose to talk about and tell mistruths to the American people, not just to reporters. Who cares about that?
That's right.
But to the American people.
I'd rather address the bigger point. What Sean Spicer said today is simply not true. What the president said in the most hallowed ground at the CIA, that the media made up his fight with the intelligence services, is simply not true. Let me finish. And to every Trump supporter out there, God bless you. You voted for him. He's your president. You have one of these in your pockets. It's a supercomputer. Don't believe a word I just said. Do it yourself. But please do it, because he will not be able to pass his infrastructure plan. Yes, his supporters love this. His supporters love when they beat us up. You have a 52-48 majority in the Senate. You have a smaller majority in the House. He is not going to be able to do what he wants to do if he continues to get into these fights about nothing.